You are now tuned into the sounds of
Big Nate Sports Talk.
It's on all the time, anytime.
Tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next big thing, the latest up-and-coming sports journalist, your host, Nathan Snell.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Handy, for that lovely introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. This is season 15, episode 3 of the podcast. And in this episode, after a week, my WNBA draft grades are complete. I do apologize if these videos will be if this video will be out late. Just wrapping up some things for the spring semester with schooling. Maybe we're delaying getting the videos out to you, but these videos have been recorded are ready to go. So that's already gotten in my introduction. NFL Mock Draft 2.0 is finished. That'll be out as soon as possible. The NBA playoffs, Western Conference, Eastern Conference edition, that's out already for you. We're going to do it round by round. Just preview it. That's how we're going to do it as well. Same thing with the NFL. Once the draft's complete, I'll have one more mock draft. I'm going to do it at least probably over the this upcoming weekend, the week of the 20th. That Saturday or Sunday, I will do the 3.0. The grades in the NFL offseason edition. So I did that video as well. But in this episode, we were focused on the WNBA draft, as you've seen the title. Well, first and foremost, my thoughts on the draft. I really still think we got to do more, better for it. The second and third rounds of the draft were completely rushed. Let me start by saying this. I respect the work that Holly Rowe has done for sports, especially as a commentator. But I've noticed, as for some time now, we've got to be a little bit better when we're telling the stories of these young women. I thought some of the questions that she was asking some of the young ladies to start the opening of the draft was very awkward. She referred to Bria Beal as the Russell Westbrook of the draft. That made no sense. Some of the questions, particularly, I feel like she was using some of their vulnerability, particularly with Bria. And we're going to get into that just a bit. There was a question that she could have asked Bria, because the way Bria was drafted, I would have asked her and said, okay, you're a first round pick in my eyes. But how do you how do you use this to take this moment to say, okay, y'all gonna regret not taking me in the first round? How do you channel these emotions and prove it to your doubters? Because she should have been a first round pick. I'm just thinking on time I have questions like that. We really need to replace Rebecca Lobo and Ryan Rucco. Respect what they do, but it's time to get some other people up in there. I'm not going to get too much on the China Robinson. I don't think she watched half the games. In my eyes, my opinion, excuse me. Other than that, the draft was good. Couple things we will get into. My predictions were mildly incorrect, but some things that happened. So we're going to get into it with the first overall pick. The Indiana Fever selected Aaliyah Boston. It was a no-brainer. Aaliyah Boston is a franchise changer for sure. No one should be surprised. For well over a year, we knew she was going to be the number one overall pick. We know Aaliyah is a dominant interior post player, unanimous first team All-American, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Even I feel like the way the media and let me just say this. I think it's the media has failed Aaliyah Boston. I don't think that the media has truly given Aaliyah Boston her flowers. For the last 4 years, they've never truly given her the respect that she deserves. There's multiple examples when we're what this past year I'm watching. There's a game and they're talking about Aaliyah Boston, and you hear it in the emotion. Oh yeah, Aaliyah Boston, she's a hell of a player, and Caitlin Clark. Oh my God, I can't tell you how it's such an exciting player. Blah 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 blah, and it's just disappointing, And I keep saying it, and it just speaks the truth. Narratives matter. I was just really disappointed to see how Leah was treated to me as an afterthought, like she wasn't Player of the Year last year. And I'm going to be watching the media particularly now that she's in the W. I'm curious to see how the media will be towards her, but I already kind of see some things I'm not liking. But Aaliyah has the physical tools. She's a two-way player. She can make you better on both sides of the ball. And if you really, really think about it, the last true franchise player for Indiana was the great Timothy Catchings. And I still think that can be Kelsey Mitchell, in my opinion. And I think she can definitely, with Aaliyah and the draft that they had last year, this Indiana Fever team can definitely make some heads turn because they haven't made the playoffs since 2016. Let's go on to a surprising pick, and I was surprised here. With the second overall pick, Minnesota. The Minnesota Lynx took Maryland's finest Diamond Miller. Let me just say this. This showed me that stats don't mean anything. For the first practically good chunk of the year, Haley Jones was projected to be drafted second overall. And I remember seeing a video on Twitter of her in the gym working on three-point shooting. I think she is shot below 30% from three. As much as I love Diamond's not the greatest three-point shooter neither. So you can't tell me that stats matter, because in this case they don't. Not trying to compare their resumes, but if you look at the systems, you got to take that into consideration. We're not going to sit here and act like Haley didn't play a significant part in them winning a national championship against South Carolina. No disrespect. We're not going to talk about how we're not going to sit here and ignore how she was the best player in that system, playing point guard. But that's here. I digress. When I look at Diamond, right? Diamond 6'3". I think she is an athletic wing player that I think has a skill set. I was really hoping that they take a center here. I was hoping it'd be Elizabeth Kitley or Corey Lee, but cares to watch from next year. I really think that when you look at her, I think defensively, I think that's what sold Minnesota. I just think she just has just a tremendous athleticism on both sides of the ball. Pairing her along kind of Nafisa Collier, and if you really truly think about it, this is a building piece now that the Sylvia Fowles era in Minnesota is over. I do have some questions on her game going into W. Got to work on her three-point shooting. Her ball handling has to be a little bit better, but those things will come with grace, and those things will come back with maturity as time progresses. With the third overall pick, the Dallas Wings, I called this one Maddie Seegers. You got the player you needed to replace Alicia Gray and Marina Mabry. Your biggest thing was replacing that shooting. Maddie averaged 29 points at Villanova. She shot at 40% from three. My only thing is, I would have liked to know, was this a Greg Bitt pick or a Coach Trammell pick? I really think, even if you needed points, I would have liked to have seen a defender here. But I think you give somebody who can take some of the scoring off Arike Ngobawale, because, Arike, she's going to shoot the ball at least 20, 30 times. So I'm not mad at this pick. So I think she will definitely adjust into that role alongside Arike. And painfully, as we get into the next pick, the Washington Mystics, draft day, traded the fourth overall pick to the Dallas Wings.
Whoa, now. You got too much dip on your chip? Huh? Who you think I am? Do I look like Boo Boo the Fool?
With the fourth overall pick, the Dallas Wings took Stephanie Soares. This is incomplete because Stephanie will not be on the WNBA court because she tore her ACL for a second time. We traded this pick to Dallas for a 2024 second-round pick, painfully, and a 2025 first-round pick. That pick is an Atlanta Dream pick, which means we really have to hope that the Atlanta Dream stink. And
this is some bad stuff. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to say. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how much more of this I can take.
Damn!
I'm gonna be honest here. This draft gives me vibes. It gives me the 2013 vibes. That was Mike's first year as head coach and GM. That was the year, the 3 to C, Brittany Griner, Elena Della Dawn, Skylar Diggins, at the time, not Skylar Diggins Smith. The Mystics had the fourth overall pick, and they took Taylor Hill, who I think turned out to be a good pick, was just injuries. I think he was looking at either Diamond, Maddie, or he was hoping to be in the top 3. So Mike's justification for the pick is pretty simple. He feels as though that he has the roster to compete. He signed Brittany Sykes in free agency. He traded Amanda Zawibi, and he also signed Chris Tolliver. You're getting a healthy Elena Deladon back. Brittany Sykes is to me an upgrade from Alicia Clark, but we'll talk about that in another video. He feels that roster can compete. And I don't see anything wrong with the trade. 2025's draft that has some talent. And looking at next year's draft, both drafts they got some talent. We're talking Caitlin Clark, and we're talking Angel Reese. That's some talent in the potential 2025 draft. But with this pick, it's an incomplete because of a couple things. I'm really, really getting to the point where I question Greg Bibb. I've questioned him for the past couple of years, but I'm the thought process. You just paid Tara McCowan. You just signed Kalani Brown to a training camp contract. You have the first and second overall pick from 2021, Charlie Collier and Awa Kure, just sitting on your bench. Now we know Dallas has a history of not developing their bigs. So my question is for Greg Bibb, because I could tell you this was not a Coach Trammell pick. What did you see in this pick? Because you drafted a player who will not play this summer. This is a risky pick. Yes, I think when healthy, the rim protection and floor spacing what is key for me. I ain't mad at that. But you've got too many players in Dallas that have promising futures, but you ain't developing them. I mean, at this point, I really, really am beginning to quit. Greg Bibb's seat has to be hot, because if this pick fails, because this is a gamble, you drafted a player that has had 2 ACL injuries, and then you currently have 2, a former number 1 overall pick and a second overall pick on your bench. You traded for a center last year, and you signed a national champion to be. That's now 4 centers, and you add Stephanie. That's 5.
They are trash.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
They're not trash. I played the wrong clip. I can't defend this thought process to have 4 centers and then draft another one. So who's out the door? And on top of that, when I look at the roster, and we're going to get into the rest of this, I really have some questions about their roster, period. I just think I think Stephanie is going to be a great player when healthy, but I really, truly question the upside on this. 2-time player of the NAIA level. Not mad at that. I got a question for Mike on this. Were there other suitors that were willing to take the 4th overall pick? Because I'm going to be honest, Washington won this trade, in my opinion. Let's get to the 5th overall pick. The Dallas Wings took Lou Lopez Cinchnau. I was surprised she ended up in the top 5. I had her in the top 10, just for the record. But I think you can arguably make a case that she's the best shooter. 44% from 3. Dallas got their player. I feel like you did a good job getting these two ladies, Maddie with the third overall pick, and then Lou Lopez. When you look at, she was not even. No, when you look at most of these draft boards, she was not even number 5. Again, when you got shot creators like Enrique and Diamond the Shields. Okay, you got right there. So I'm not mad at this pick. Look for those two. I think especially, I guess these two are replacing, in my opinion, Marina and Alicia. However, stick with me here because I want you guys just to follow what I'm seeing, what I saw in this draft. I hope you guys paying attention. Number 6, I thought was the steal of the draft, and that was Haley Jones, 6th overall pick to Atlanta. The biggest criticism, I can tell you that stats, excuse my language, stats don't mean shit. Because the fact that on most WNBA mock drafts, if you go back, Haley Jones was number 2. It was Aaliyah Boston and Haley Jones. The biggest issue was because she never developed an outside shot. But everything else, she can play multiple positions. She thrives as a playmaker, especially in the transition. I really, really, again, I kind of question that when you took Diamond. I'm not taking a shot at Diamond. I'm using this as an example. You can't criticize one player for the lack of a 3-point shot. But here's another player that you took who lacks the same thing. So what am I looking at? They're both pro player ready. Haley has high basketball IQ. I think she'll develop a 3-point shot. I think with Tanisha Wright, I think you got a Ryan Howard. I don't think you have to worry about her developing a 3-point shot because if the others around her, if you didn't get a Ryan, Alicia, Ari McDonald going, you got a playmaker. The biggest thing is Atlanta's got to continue to develop and work on the defense. But I think the 3-point shots will be there. But at Stanford, her role was not a 3-point shooter. It was playmaker, rebounding, facilitating the offense, and playing at the high post. That was the system at Stanford. Now, could she develop a 3-point shot? Sure. But some of that's part of coaching. See, I could go into a whole diatribe about that, but I look at the system that she was in. If she was like at maybe a UCLA, a Maryland, Duke, maybe Utah, different. But I really can't fathom that Atlanta got the steal of the draft, in my opinion. That should have been us. This should have been the Washington Mystics, but it's okay. Number 7, I thought this was a good pick by Indiana, Grace Berger. I think Indiana will continue to work on the shooting. I think she's not box office when it comes to shooting, but she's an efficient, versatile guard, good size. Indiana has 18 now players on their roster. Got to figure some things out with that. Too many. Got to make some cuts. I'm not mad at the pick. I would have liked to have seen them continue to work on the guard play. I think with drafting, like as last year, Lexi Hall, who I think will do really good. I think Grace brings a lot of value to the roster. And if you think about it, she's still home. Indiana University. So you're bringing, I think Grace is a good pick for this team. But with also, too, they took Taylor Mikesell for a Merle Turpin. They got shooters. Give Lynn Dunn credit for building a good team. And we're also not going to forget they took LaDeja Williams and also, too, Victoria Saxton. Lynn Dunn is to me, building a contender up there. I like that. Let's take a quick sponsor commercial, and that is Zagnif Apparel. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to dress like you're famous? Well, why don't you check out Zagnif Apparel, where you can dress like you're famous.
The following is a presentation of Zagnif Productions, LLC. Introducing Zagnif Apparel. Our comfortable line of leisure wear and athletic wear will have you comfortable and stylish at any occasion. Whether you're at the gym, out shopping, or just relaxing at home. Whether you're an athlete or just want to lay around the house, we've got the perfect outfit for you. Stop by our website today and pick up your favorite pieces. Zagnif Apparel. Dress like you're already famous.
And you can most certainly dress like you're famous with a nice 15% off using my code, as you see on the screen here, Big Nate. 15% off. Check out Zagnif Apparel. Thank you, Zagnif Apparel, for being a sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk. Be right back after this song. And we're back. And with the 8th overall pick, the Atlanta Dream took Letitia Adhere. I think this was a good pick. I still think this was what they needed to address. They needed some size. Letitia, to me, is a athletic, versatile wing player, 6'4". The numbers at South Carolina, we don't need to be. They'll need to be box office, but the role that she played at South Carolina, I think you see the potential and the upside. To me, is going to be fantastic. I like this pick for them. When you look at it, like last year, Ryan Howard, and now this year, Haley Jones, they're confident in taking chances and saying, no, we're going with that player. And, I just wished that we would have saw her full potential at South Carolina, but the ceiling's high there. So, but I am a little concerned because you have Beatrice Mamaprier on the roster. So I'm curious to see who the competition there. But I like this pick. Number 9, Seattle took Tennessee's finest, Jordan Horston. I actually had her in the top 7. I when I did a draft, like before I did the 1.0, I was going through, and at one point I actually had her in the top 6. I actually had the Washington Mystics, and I was surprised that she fell to 9 here. I think this is the right stepping stone now, particularly now that Brandon Stewart is now departed for free agency and Sue Bird is retired. They need to me, a guard. She to me is the best playmaker. I think her playmaking is underrated. I really do think that Jordan is, for her position, great size, athleticism, and can defend multiple positions. When I look at what they did with this pick, you pair her alongside Joe Lloyd. That's a backcourt I would be afraid of personally, because now this is not Joe Lloyd's team, and they also made some other moves too. Kyla Charles. I would have potentially saw a forward here, a wing player, but Jordan's a good fit for them. I'm not mad at it, so I give this an A. With the 10th overall pick, the Los Angeles Sparks took Zaya Cook. This to me was a steal of the draft. My concern it's Kurt Miller. I'm not comparing her in this way, but Kurt to me is not I can tell is not a fan of developing players. I really am questioning where she's going to have to really. I think Zay's going to come out and do her thing. They needed to, for me, address a guard who can shoot the ball, particularly mid range, because as good as Jordan Canada is and Lachey Clarendon didn't play in the league last year, and Jordan, I don't know, maybe it was the coaching, Derek Fisher. I have no excuse for that. When you look at Zaya's game at South Carolina, I think she's a shot creating guard. I mean, I think under Kurt Miller, I think she'll take definitely a more high quality shot. Now, my concern is, I think, just to prove 3-point shooting, she showed flashes that it can be consistent, and you needed that backcourt depth. And I'm honestly and truthfully, I'm not mad at it. You did what you had to do. You addressed it, and I'm happy for Zaya. So the only weakness I would say is she's 5'9", but I think she plays like she's 6'1". So I mean, she knows how to use her body and use the angles when she gets to the rim. So I think this was a steal for sure. With the 11th pick of the WNBA draft, the Dallas Wings selected Abby Myers out of Maryland.
What? What? And you got to be kidding me.
I'm going to be careful. Let me explain. This is a reach. Love Abby. Love what she did at College Park. Had a great year. Not taking that away from her. I just want to point something out. You took Maddie Siegrist, Lou Lopez. You traded for Stephanie. you took Abby Myers. They're practically the same players. I can't defend that. Like you to me, Jordan Horston was there. Haley Jones potentially was there. You picked, this is your third 3-point specialist. How much shooting do you need? Who's are we going to say Veronica Burton is going to be the point guard? Jasmine Dickey? I mean, these were not. If you're Coach Trammell, who is a defensive minded coach, right? Because it took damn near half the whole season for Vicky Johnson to sell Arikan Gubawali on defense. I'm convinced that these first 3 picks, Coach Trammell had no say on this. These were Greg Bibb picks.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
It's not that Abby's going to be a good player in the W. I think she'll adjust. That's not the issue. They're the exact same player and they do the exact same thing. Where's the defense? Like, you now have 11 players, and on top of that, it's just like you already have players that are truly lacking development. But the fact that you went this far into saying, "Oh, okay, take another one," and then on top of that, can I just also point this out? They went on taking Ashley Jones in the second round. So you took practically 4 of the first 5, 4 out of the 4 picks are all 3-point specialists. Abby gets a B because of her stellar play at Maryland. The pick, this is a reach. If we're truly being honest, I'd give this a D. It's not Abby. It's who you picked and why you picked it. When you picked it with the third and then the fifth, the two 3-point specialists. So what's at? It's just, this is, to me, this is overkill. See, ladies and gentlemen, when we're doing mock drafts, when we're grading, we're looking to see a team addressing the needs that they need. Dallas, I'm not mad that they took Maddie Seacrest. I'm not mad that they took Lou Lopez, but they could have took some defense here. You could have taken. You had the 5th pick. You had Haley Jones right there. You had Jordan Horston right there. Hell, you could have took Zaya Cook. You could have taken, like, you need other things. Like, now you're going to have questions going into the season. Okay, well, who's your point guard? And on top of that, now your backcourt is now completely, to me, crowded. So, as of right now, you got a player that won't play this year and will most likely join a crowded front court, depending on what they do. Because I didn't like. I'm happy for Abby. I truly am. But another 3-point specialist, and Abby can play defense. Let me make that really, really clear. Brenda, give her credit, X's and O's. But Abby will play some defense. But when you look at these 3 first-round picks, they all do the exact same thing. They're practically the same player. And with the final pick of the first round, the Minnesota Lynx took Maya Hirsch. She will not be participating this upcoming year neither. She's in France. She will be developing her game. I think there's high. I think there's a high ceiling there for her. I think it's a good pick. Um, I would have not been surprised if Bria Bill was taken there. Um, I mean, I really that's all I can say only on that one. So um, I'm not mad at it. I wish her all the best. I think she'll do fine. Um, this Cheryl, this it's just well, we're going to draft you, and when you're ready, we're ready for you. So and they took Dorka, so I think Dorka will be a good fit in there right away. Um, Dorka's to me a high low big. She could definitely space the floor. I'm not mad at that at all. And she can definitely make the others around her, especially the outside shooters, going. So I'm not mad at it at all. Um, but if I truly had to go with the winners and losers of the draft, I
I mean, damn! Damn!
I'm gonna say, well, first and foremost, I'm disappointed for Bria Beal. I think she should have been a first round pick. Um, this draft showed me a couple things. I questioned scouting, and everybody went offense happy. I supposedly defense doesn't matter anymore because it proves to my point that defense wins championships. Um, you know, when you look at every mock draft that was done, she was projected in the top 10, and she fell all the way to the set in the second round. She was picked 24th overall. Um, I really, I mean, you can say what you want with the offensive game. I get it. In the W, you got to shoot the ball, but defense wins championships, ladies and gentlemen. You're not going to tell me anything otherwise. I mean, yeah, that don't mean nothing to me. Like, I think that I felt bad for Bria. I think she definitely should have been a first round pick. Indiana and the Atlanta Dream both won this draft. Give um, give Atlanta credit from where they've been from a couple years ago to now. Dan Panover, Tanisha Wright, Renee Montgomery, they're building one hell of a team down there in ATL. Lynn Dunn uh, coming in here and just completely changing the landscape of the dream and building a potential dynasty. Um, the draft she had last year and then this year, I think is a lot. And still got to make some roster cuts. But I mean, I think what you have out there is fine. But I mean, rosters got to make when we get to the who's going to be cut from the team. It's going to be interesting to see. Dallas is to me. I think they lost this draft. When when you look at the players, Maddie, Stephanie, Lou Lopez, Abby, Ashley Jones, and then they took Paige Robinson. It's not. They're all great players. Not taking anything away from them, but I question the identity with what Greg Bibb is trying to build because I don't know what you're trying to sell here. When you look at the thought process to me is mind-boggling. You lost me on the Stephanie Soares pick. I don't know what she's going to look like next year, coming off two ACL injuries. I think she has all the potential there. That's not the issue. What you're counting on a player she only played 13 games this year, and particularly on the Division One level. So that's another problem. I believe she played at a school. It just hit me. The math. So it's a random school in the NAI. Never heard of it. I really question that. It's not. We got to see what it looks like next year. Now, I don't think Lou Lopez was a reach. I don't think Abby was a reach. But they're practically the same players as I stated earlier. So I really, really.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
I'm telling you right now, if they don't make the playoffs, because this, if you look at this team, this has Greg Bibb's fingerprints all over it. Because who's playing defense? Like I could tell you, Coach Trammell had no say on these picks. These are all Greg Bibb picks, and they're not bad players. I just don't know what the identity is going to look like. And then to me, a couple things. It predicates. I gotta look to see how Seitu Sabi looks if she stays healthy. And then on top of that, you don't have Kayla Thornton. You had Natasha Howard. I think is a good pickup, but your number one overall pick in Charlie Collier, who I just feel bad for her. I think she just dealt a bad hand, and it's like you drafted 2 back-to-back centers and you haven't developed them, and then going on to the next, you could say the Washington Mystics. The Washington Mystics, Mike said it in the presser. By 2025, he wants to get a couple young, budding stars to compete with some older players because the free agency won't impact going forward. But I'm gonna be honest, we really can't be fooling around at this point. I at some point we really gotta start looking for the future. I thought Shakira Austin to me was the post EDD pick, which makes sense because I don't know how many more years you can get out of Lena. I think you get 2, maybe good years out of her. That roster by 2025 will be older. And to me, the keys will be given to Ariel Atkins. In my eyes, I think Ariel Atkins. I think this year will finish in the top 10 MVP. I think she'll be an all-star. I mean, Connecticut and New York, they really weren't active. I mean, they were second round draft picks, but other than that, they didn't really do much in this draft. Connecticut took Alexis Morris. That was about it. But other than that, nothing happened on their ends. It was quiet practically for them. But I feel like everybody did okay. Chicago, they took Keanu Trailer. But I'm kind of sad how that looked. But other than that, that's what I think were the winners and losers of the 2023 WNBA draft. Let's get into the final part of the podcast, and that is the final part.
Thoughts are running through my mind. Someone took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
With the final thought, this was a good, like I said, this could have been a better WNBA draft in terms of not rushing the second round. I'm happy for this class, but I'm disappointed because next year's and 2025's drafts, I think, will make this draft class overlooked. I feel like the injuries and then everyone taking the 5th year eligibility, which I'm happy for. Put a damper on some things, but I really, really was surprised with how everything went. I got most of my predictions right. Well, no, I did not. I take it back. I said the Washington Mystics will trade, and they did that. I thought the Sparks would have got a veteran player. Didn't happen. Everyone just stayed quiet. I think everybody knew what they wanted to do. I think everyone's just focused on next year, honestly and truthfully. But now I'm really curious to see what this upcoming training preseason looks like. I'm curious to see who's getting cut, who's not. But congratulations to the young ladies. Here begins a new chapter of your lives. I'm happy for every one of them, particularly Diamond and Abby. I knew Diamond was going to declare for the draft anyway. She has nothing to prove. She had nothing to prove at College Park. I mean, the work that she put in, she silenced the doubters, coming off the injury she had last year and stayed the course, in the midst of all what happened in the transfer portal. She had nothing to prove. The answer she gave in the post presser, I think that was just to kind of throw us off the trail. But I knew she was going to declare for the draft. My mind told me. And then Abby, obviously, just the year that she had. Sad the way it ended in the South Carolina game, but I'm happy for all of them. I wish them all the best in their journeys. And I cannot wait to follow them in the upcoming season. So that's my final thought. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to conclude this episode. Be tuned in for future episodes. Thank you for tuning on this episode of the WNBA Mock Draft Season 15, Episode 3. Oh my gosh, I cannot talk. You will catch the NFL Mock Draft 2.0. That video will be out as soon as possible. Please continue to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. You can also check it out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other listening platforms. This will also go on Twitter and Facebook. Again, thank you so much for tuning into Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the next big thing, the next up-and-coming sports journalist, Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
I want to thank you, yeah. I want to thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you for everything you do.